way you're gonna hold me down. I said, I'm going gray in Tinseltown.
You're a beast.
There's no way you're gonna hold
Take
me
to the
down,
streets.
'cause I was born to entertain. And
Show
you
them what a
can't
real woman looks
take
like.
that away. I'm going gray, I'm going gray all in your face. You can't replace this. It's going down, we're going gray in Tinseltown.
Welcome to Going Gray in Tinseltown. I'm your host, Mandy May Cheetham. Soon to be all the way Silver Sister. Well, soon, maybe in a year. Growing out my hair. Today's guest is KP Lawless. KP is this extraordinary woman that I met at a creative women's circle in downtown LA. She's a former New Yorker who is a recovering New Yorker, I guess you could say, who's moved to LA and is finding her way in this awesome city. She's been an event planner for many years, and she's also worked in the hair, makeup, and beauty industry. And I introduced myself at this creative circle and talked about my hair immediately because that's what I do lately. And KP came up to me afterward and said, hey, I really need to talk to you about this because it's something I think about a lot. And I'm absolutely consumed by my hair and it interferes with my life. I'm really excited for you guys to meet her, so let's dive in. So, KP, welcome to my closet. We're going to get to know each other in here. Let's talk about your hair. I want to hear where you are today with your hair and how it affects your life.
Well, I think it's a big part of my life. Ever since I learned how to tame my shrew of hair, it's been a big part of my life. It definitely holds me back from doing things like any sort of vacation. Well, vacations are stressful because I don't want to wash my hair when I'm on vacation because then I'm going to have to go through my whole thing. So if I'm going away for like 4 days or something, I'll wash my hair the day before and do my whole thing so that I can be easy for other people.
What's the whole thing? What do you mean?
Well, I have to make sure I have the right shampoo and the right conditioner and the right treatment and then the right product to put in when it's wet, the right product to put in when it's dry, the right tools. Like my fancy blow dryer, I can't just use one that I can't take the chance they wouldn't have the fanciest blow dryer, and my curling iron, and that takes up a lot of space. I try to pretend I'm not this high maintenance. I feel like if I'm really high maintenance before I leave, I can be gone for 4 days and not even touch my hair. Maybe give it like a little spray or something and seem like it's, I just wake up like this. Look at how easy this is. But if there's a pool situation, then I have to bring my shower cap. I'll freak out if I don't have my shower cap because God forbid any humidity gets on it and it turns to midnight and my glass slipper everything disappears and frizz.
Have you ever been to Europe?
Yes.
What a fucking nightmare. Because
the
many times
dryers
the blow dryer.
and
Yeah, because you're like, if you bring yours, it might not work with the converter because the voltages are different. And then you have to buy a blow dryer in Europe and carry it around with you the whole time. And then if you've brought your North American blow dryer, then you have 2 blow dryers in your suitcase. Like, oh my God, I have so many European blow dryers.
Well, then I had the curling iron issue too.
Uh-huh.
And like, do I want to carry this huge curling iron? I mean, it's like a whole thing. And then me trying to figure out, well, what if I plan to not wash my hair, but then something happens and I have to wash my hair?
Like it rains.
Or like, I don't know, I go to some weird performance and somebody like sprays, fake, that's happened on my blonde hair. And I'm like, oh my God, that definitely happened on Halloween. Or just like anything. And then, if there's like a pool situation, I have to like clip my hair up and just kind of like sit pretty in the pool and not, don't dare and splash me. And luckily everyone I've ever dated has understood that this is like a thing for me. And you can do almost anything for me and that's not going to be funny.
How do you feel about people touching your hair?
It's interesting because I hear that a lot from Black people, that white people touch their hair, and like I don't hear it a lot the other way around, but for me it was like everyone thought I had a weave, and when I'd go up to Harlem, they'd always be like, "Let us fix your weave," and I'd be like, "It's not a weave," and then they'd like feel my head for tracks. So that was definitely a thing when my hair was really long. I do mind people touch me because I have a lot of tattoos, and that really bothers me. Like people grab my arm and turn it around like the way it doesn't go. And I just think that you shouldn't touch another person unless you have a rapport with them and you ask. People constantly remark on my tattoos, my hair. Every time I leave the house, someone, asks me something. And I don't mind it so much from women. I do from men, because I feel like you're asking me a personal question. Before recognizing me as a person, I guess they don't ask about my hair too much, but they ask about the tattoos constantly.
It feels like a little, like an intrusion. It feels, because it happens to me a lot too. People comment, especially the red hair. It feels like I'm being projected on. Oh, I value this about you. It feels like a manipulation of some sort, even from strangers to me. I don't understand. Like, are you telling me that you like it because you want me to pay attention to you? Is that what you, because I don't think it's about me and my hair. I really don't.
It's odd because I don't really understand it. And I always tell people, like, first, it should never be the thing that they, like, lead with, like, commenting on me, how I look physically. And they should, if they're curious about something, first introduce themselves. Like, if there was a woman, she saw my hair and she liked it, and she had some issue with her hair, and she introduced herself and said, my hair, I've always been trying to get my hair to do that.
Like us.
And I can't.
That's how we met. You
Yeah.
introduced yourself to me because I had been blabbing about my hair, and you were like, yeah, here, got to talk to you about this. I got the thing. Yeah.
But I feel like then I was like recognizing you as
Yeah.
a person, not you as a thing that carries
No,
this
because
hair.
yeah, it was a real connection based on a mutual experience that we're having.
I actually love when women talk to me about it coming from a like, I can't figure out what to do with my hair. I can't, and them seeing mine always looking like styled and whatever. I actually went to beauty school because growing up my hair was, well, after puberty, my hair was not what I wanted. And it was a struggle every day to try to figure out how to make this thing mold into the look that I wanted it to.
What did it look like?
It was really frizzy, and at the time, like in the 90s, the style I wanted was like long and straight, wash and go. Everyone loved Pantene,
Right.
and you could smell the Pantene, like, in the classroom. Girls would come to school with wet hair, and it would just dry, and I wanted it so bad, and I wore like a wool, like, ski hat. It would like flatten my hair because we didn't have flat irons. So I would like leave it wet and put it under like a ski cap, and then it would be flat like I wanted.
Hothead.
And I remember one time my grandparents were living in Miami, and I went down there and it was summer, and I had this like wool hat on because it was the only way I knew how to dry my hair. It was definitely something that I felt like if I could just get this right, everything would be better in my life.
Isn't it so interesting when you said the smell of Pantene? It made me think about public school and high school and how, because you see everyone every single day, you watch all the horrific moments of their life unfold. Like, I didn't know how to do my hair either. I lived with my father, and my mom lived in the States. So I was very self-conscious about not having a mom to show me the things that I needed to do to look pretty. And all my friends were really starting to get into the perms.
Got a perm.
Yeah, I never did, probably for the best. Where they really, I don't think anyone was really dyeing their hair, but there was sun-in. We used sun-in and lemon juice and like all the things to try and lighten our hair naturally by the sun. And everyone was wearing ponytails, high ponytails. So I always tried to put my hair in a high ponytail, but I never used a brush for some reason. Like, I didn't understand the connection. So it was always bumpy, and I couldn't get it to be straight. And all my friends could. Well, because it's like a lot easier when you have someone else doing the ponytail for you to get it straight. I remember because I wore the ponytail every day. Once I figured out, someone said to me how to get it straight. Once I figured out how to use a brush, then I wore a ponytail every day. And people would, like, you know, the old pull your bra strap, that game?
Yeah.
So instead of pulling a bra strap on me because I didn't have a bra, they would pull my ponytail out and my head, it would stick straight up because it was like always like permanently in that position. And it was just like my hair would stay in a ponytail without the elastic. It's torturous.
It's weird how, like, when I'm thinking of this, I'm thinking about when you said the bra strap thing, like in the years of like 7th grade, 8th grade, you know, it's like 12, 13, I didn't want to have anything different. And the bra thing was a big deal because if you had boobs, you were embarrassed. If you didn't have boobs, you were embarrassed. So everyone wore a sports bra in my school because it was like,
Smart.
it was the bra strap. It was like a big deal to see your bra strap. Was this person wearing a, I mean, we can see if you have boobs or not, but like you wanted to be wearing a bra. I didn't have any boobs. My best friend did. My breast friend did. And she was embarrassed because she had to wear a bra. And so she didn't want them to see the bra strap. I couldn't really wear a bra and I didn't need one. And so I would just wear, and then some people's parents didn't want them to wear a bra, but they could get a sports bra. So it was like this whole thing where it worked for everyone because you'd see the little strap and it was like you're in the gang if you like have a sports bra. But it was the same thing with the hair. It's just such a weird age where you want so bad to like nothing to be different.
Yeah.
And
oh God, I remember asking my dad for the money to get a bra, and I tried to fake it by saying, because I think there was a place where you could buy bras for $20, like maybe, I don't think we had the Gap yet in Canada, but something, it was like in a little box, and it was a training bra. So I asked my dad for $20 to go to the movies, and he pulled a fit and was like, I can't afford, you know, we don't have any money, we didn't have any groceries, and I'm asking to go to the movies, and he just like lost his shit. And I started to cry, and I was like, my friend said I need a bra. And then he was like all the color drained from his face, and he was like, oh, okay. And then the next thing I knew, I was shopping with my aunt, my uncle, my cousin, my mom's
God.
second cousin. Like the whole fucking family was called in because my mom wasn't around to take me bra shop. It was mortifying. Mortifying. Wow. Like, this is the kid that when I decided that I needed to wear deodorant, I went down, we had like a 7-Eleven downstairs in our building, and I had a bag of change, maybe like $4 or $5 worth of change that I had gathered from around the house, and walked around the 7-Eleven, and I would go to the deodorant section, I would look, and then if someone else came into the aisle, I'd go somewhere else. And like, I think I was there for an hour and a half maybe before I finally got the guts to pick up the deodorant and buy it. And then I got to the thing, and I had to count my, like, trauma around deodorant and I just couldn't fucking deal. I don't know why. Like, I don't know.
Because it's this like change, and it's scary. Like, your parents want you to be a little girl, like your dad wants you to be a little girl, and you know you're not, but you don't want to show them that, but you want to be that, but it's confusing. I mean, that reminded me of a story. Like, I went on a ski trip, like a day ski trip, and I got my period. I mean, I'd had it, but early on, I don't know, I must have been like 14 or something. And I was living with my dad, and he picked me up, and he was tired, and I was like, hey, we have to go to the store on the way home. And he was like, no, I'm tired, we'll go tomorrow. And I was like, no, we have to go now. And he was like, why? It's the same thing. And I was like, I need pads. And it was like total silence. He drove me right to the store. He gave me $100 bill because he had no idea how much they cost, and he didn't want to know. And And he gave me $100 bill, and he just like didn't even look at me. And I went in and I was like, and I bought him, and then I just kept the change, and he never asked for the change back because he didn't even want to know.
Because we shall never speak of this incident again.
We never did. We've never mentioned that I've gotten my period ever again. And but I don't even think he'd be that. Now, if I needed him to like go, I don't think I would still be the same amount of discomfort around it. And I just
love that story.
So I made like, probably like $95 that day, which was really cool.
I'm surprised you didn't use that again. I would have been like every week, oh, I need pads.
It was so uncomfortable. I don't even think it would have been worth. I mean, it was mortifying for me. It was beyond. But yeah, it was things with him with that are still like we don't get into that.
I remember my dad buying me a present when I got my period. It was like a necklace or some shit, and I was like, this is next level, like ridiculous. It was in the car too. Like, why are you giving me this in the car? You know what it is? There's some kind of weird recognition that once you start with the bra and the deodorant and the period, that now you're free game to be sexualized. And so when your dad has any like part in that, it feels very confusing. Like for me, I can say that I was well aware at that point of the way my dad treated women and the way he talked about women. And I saw myself as separate from that because I was his daughter and because I wasn't like the rest of them or a woman or whatever. It wasn't in a good way. He was he whistled at women out the car window kind of thing. So I think that for me, a lot of the mortification came with the understanding that I would no longer be special to my dad. Like now I was in the realm of all of the rest of them. And also the weird, there's not supposed to be any sexual tension between me and my father. And what does this mean? Does this now mean that there's that sexual tension because he sexualized women so much? It was really confusing. And as I've been going through this process of growing my hair out, I've been thinking about it a lot, my relationship with my father and how it affected my self-objectification by watching him objectify women. I actually had a dream where he's been passed for 10 years. I said to him, the way in which you talk about women affects me. And I did say that to him when he was alive. We had a really beautiful conversation about it. But it didn't necessarily heal what I carried forward. Even though I got to talk to him about it, it was more specifically about him not being responsible to me as the male figure in my life. But I didn't understand how that had moved into this state that I'm now facing, which is thinking that definition of me, that the feminine, the body, the hair, the face, is what I lead with. I don't want to say it's my only value because I don't think that that's fair. I definitely...
Well, it is the first thing. It's not your value, but it is the first thing that people see. It's the first thing. It's the introduction of you. Mm-hmm. Like, because I've been thinking a lot about this. Like, I'm good at putting myself together. Mm-hmm. Why should I not use those talents? Should I make myself look bad on purpose? Or should I use the tools I have? I used to be a professional hair and makeup person on sets, and so I know how to do it. I know how to make myself up to look like camera ready. And I think, do I not use that tool or do I use that tool? Like, what do I... This is the first thing I'm showing someone. Like, I want to look... Who do I want to show them? Do I want to show them, like, in my mind, I think, like a sloppy person that doesn't care about themselves, or a person who cares about themselves and, like, puts themselves together?
Or, like, why do I do it? Am I doing it because I feel bad and I want to make myself feel better? Or am I doing it because I feel good and I want to share that with the world? Who am I thinking about when I...
But, I mean, it's the same thing as, like, when I like to dress nice. I like to do it for myself. I feel like it's an art. When I'm wearing nice clothes, I feel nice. Like I feel good. I feel
So what is
put
it that's
together.
that you're questioning then if you know that it makes you feel better?
Because why am I not okay with who I naturally am? Like, if my hair and makeup is done perfect, of course I feel good, but it's debilitating to the point where I can't go. I will not have a good time. I will not be okay if, like, if my hair gets wet. I went to this crazy party. They had these like performance artists or whatever, and they were spraying this stuff, and it got my hair all wet. It was raining and all this stuff, and I was like not having a good time, just because. And there was this performer I really wanted to see. I mean, it was like an amazing party, and I just could not enjoy it because all I could think of is like, I can't believe what these people are seeing. Like they're not seeing who I want them to see. They're seeing like my awful hair, and I was panicked because I didn't have rubber band or a scrunchie or bobby pins. I always have bobby pins, and I was like,
Because there's only one type of beauty. It feels like you have to be this specific type of beauty in order to be seen.
yeah. I mean, it was Cardi B playing at someone's house party, like up in Bel Air, and it was all these people. All the women there. I'm about 20 years older than, and they were all had like, you know, the whole thing done, and I was like, I can do that too, but the rain, like, and you shot me with this stuff, and my hair is like, it was like this foam or something that was coming out of these weird cannons, and I was like, I can't believe this is where I am, and my hair looks like this. And I did my makeup so fast because I had to get here, and I just like, I couldn't enjoy myself.
Did you think about any of the other women? Because this is a funny thing, you know, we think we're the only one experiencing that, and then yet all the other women who seem to look so put together, of course they're like worried about something. Each one of them probably has some kind of story they're telling themselves about why they're not perfect enough to be trying to pull off whatever they're trying to pull off, like that particular skirt or this particular shade of eyeshadow, or like it doesn't seem to matter what the thing is. It feels like we're addicted to creating a story about why we're not measuring up.
Well, it's interesting because I feel like the things that have never affected us, we don't even realize. So when you're saying those things, I think about like, I'm 5'6". It's the last thing on my list of like physical issues with myself. And I have a friend who's 6 feet, and that's the thing. Like, it is constantly on her mind that like, she wants to wear heels, but she can't wear heels. And what if she's taller than this guy? And it's intimidating. And like, I would have never even thought of those things because I look at her and see like, you're so beautiful. I don't know, you can wear all these beautiful like long things. And she actually for years talked about getting breast implants. And I was like, and she owns this like vintage clothing, but like really high end, like historical pieces. And she's very successful, and she wears a lot like Edwardian and, you know, all that stuff. And a lot of that stuff is not having big breasts. Like, it looks gorgeous on her. And if I put that on, I would look like, what porn am I going to like what weird porn am I going to shoot? Because like, I can't wear like, I guess she had never thought about what it's like to have big boobs that you have to try to dress down all the time.
Yeah.
She can wear, like, if she wears a very, very low cut with like a slit in the front, it just looks really nice. It just looks like it doesn't look like she's trying to be super sexual. It just looks like beautiful and classy. And if I did that, I would look like I was on like a demented porn of like from the 1800s. I don't know. But so it's, and then with the height thing, she always, and I was like, you know, and the same thing with friends that I have that are short, that are always like, I can't wear that, I can't do this. And I never consider when I'm getting dressed my height. I know, so it's interesting. Like,
so if it's true that you can walk in a room and not even think about your height, what else could that be true about? You know, like
anything that you feel confident about.
right. And so, what else? You know, it's really false because it could.
Yeah, other people are not seeing that.
I don't even
That's
know if
just-
it's feeling confident about. I think it's just like not having
Well,
anxiety.
like I
over
feel confident about my height. Like I don't feel any
Do you?
like
'Cause
insecurity.
You didn't, like for me anyway, I don't feel insecurity. I don't think about my height. I wouldn't
That's
even
what I
say that I
mean.
feel confident about it. I just don't think about it. So what
I
if we
guess
lived
no
in a world where
insecurity, but-
like hair wasn't a thing we thought about because it didn't define us?
But see,
you
like
know?
my mom had straight, long, dark brown hair, and she didn't really think about it. She didn't like whatever shampoo was somewhere she'd use. Like she would never, when she's going on vacation, like, you know, if there's a hair dryer there, my hair will dry quick. Like my mom thinks a hair dryer is to make your hair dry quicker because it's like cold.
Right.
And it's very practical to her. And if she goes away, she would never think to bring one because if there wasn't one there, the only issue would be it's cold. I don't want to like go outside with wet hair.
So isn't it amazing how much more time she has to think about other things because she's not spending so much energy thinking about her hair? Like, I can't believe I planned my whole life around my hair too. For me, it was about when I was going to color it and then also washing and blow drying because I knew it was going to be an hour-long commitment and just it got so tedious, you know. Fucking how many hours? 4 hours a week or 3 hours a week blow drying my hair for 10 years.
Yeah, it's crazy. And I also think about, I just wanted to circle back to what you're saying about like the relationship daughters with their dad.
Yeah.
Something I've really been struggling with is feeling like my dad showed me one thing but told me another thing. So my dad is very successful financially, and it's important to him that his wife doesn't work because it shows that like he can support her. He loves her to volunteer and do, like, you know, she's a very plugged in, tuned on person. He doesn't want her to like sit around and not do anything, but he doesn't want her to have to make money or to make money, just to like do her thing. And that's what he showed me, but as his daughter, he stressed school. Like I had to go to college. I had to go to a really good college, not go into a school that was like very, he could tell people like my daughter goes here. In my mind, he thinks success of a woman is like, you know, where you live and your money, I guess, and that it's the same if you made that money or if you married someone that makes that money. And it's been a thing that I was like, why did you send me to school? Why didn't you send me to finishing school? Like, why didn't you teach me how to do my hair? Why didn't you prep me to be a rich man's wife? Why can't you say that what you value is this kind of body, this kind of hair, this kind, and as they age, they have to keep that up too. And I notice with like I never see, unless it's some situation where they've been married for 100 years, but it's so rare that I see wealthy men with like not a woman that fits a certain mold of attractive,
Kept.
like, yeah, like,
The word
like,
kept comes to mind.
yeah. But but even if they're out doing things, they have a certain look. They're not homely. And that, but you don't see that with women. You don't see, and it's interesting because I was talking and thinking a lot about this, and I had lunch with a gay friend of mine who's completely gray, and he was saying how, because I always thinking of it in terms of women, but then he was like women and men or whatever, and he was saying how he feels like when he goes, he's married, but they do things and they're cool with it. But he says when he goes out to like a gay club, he feels like, and he's very attractive, men just like look through him and they don't even see him when he has the gray hair like they used to. And I was like, wow, that's interesting. And then I was like, wow, but it's men, because I don't feel that way with women that like women. Like I don't feel like they put those same standards on them.
Most women say when they go gray that they feel invisible. But I think part of it is, for me, all men used to look at me. And now it's only a certain age group that it's starting to change. Fewer young men look at me, whereas every man used to look at me. Now it's kind of different. And I think part of it is that, you know how when you see someone and they look like a friend of yours from school? I don't know if this has ever happened to you, but like I'll see someone and I'll be like, oh, that looks like, Sarah. But Sarah's 40 and she's 12. Like for a minute you get confused because you almost want to speak to her and think that it's her. It's kind of like, what you're attracted to stays, like it almost like for some people it doesn't grow up with you. You don't become attracted to people your own age. And I think it has to do with a bunch of things. I don't know for sure because this is the question I'm trying to answer. Is it a fear of your own mortality that makes your idea of beauty not progress as you get older or expand? What you're sexually attracted to
I
not
think
change?
it's weird because I feel like mine has changed. Like I'm not attracted to men in their 20s in
Me
the
neither.
least.
No.
Like it's such a turnoff, and I'm not even attracted to men. I'm about to turn 40. I'm attracted to older men. I mean, not like my appropriately aged men, but I think it's very different for women. Men are still seen as sexualized as they get older, and like Harrison Ford and like all these men are George Clooney. Like they're all still like sexualized.
They're allowed to be sexy for more than just their hair or their face or their tits. Like,
But even their hair is still, it's still attractive.
so what you're saying is it's the perspective of women. We have a broader perspective of what we find attractive because your friend is gay and he's experiencing it from men, that men are more myopic in terms of what they find attractive.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Because you will see women, like, I mean, men really let themselves go.
Yeah.
And you see them with very attractive, much younger women.
Because it's like their virility is based on my looks instead of their look.
But I mean, how many, like, look at like Harvey Weinstein for look at how he looks.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, I'm not trying to like, I feel like I'm like, I don't want to be, but
No.
I'm saying like the difference in like if you, I feel so bad, like even, not that I feel bad for Harvey Weinstein, but just to talk about someone's looks. Men like that are still with attractive younger women and like all the time. I can think of so many, and I can't think of a lot of women that lead with their mind that are with, I mean, and because the women that do lead with things that they do with their mind are picked apart. Like if you look at someone like Oprah, I mean, her weight and her appearance have been picked apart for her whole career, and like what she's doing has nothing to, I mean, aside from being on TV, what she's doing has nothing to do with what she looks like. She's in the mind, and people still judge her for that.
I study A Course in Miracles, and there's sort of one of the main theories of it is that we only have one problem, and that is that we believe we're separate from God, which means we're separate from each other, essentially, because we're all one. And what I'm thinking about as you're talking is the imagining of ourselves as a separate entity. It's like we're a bunch of little kids running around thinking that we're a wave instead of a piece of the ocean. Or a bunch of waves thinking that, a bunch of little kids running around being like, look at me, look how different I am, look how different I am. But at the end of it, like, it's all the same. Like, all of your fundamental flaws and your human condition stuff is like all the same shit that mine is. You're in a slightly different version of me, but like all this individuality that we think we have is not a thing. And especially when you look at things like what we're talking about, where women are trying to uphold some sort of ideal, and men are trying to connect to that ideal in order to make them seem a certain way. Like, it's so tedious and boring, and the complete opposite of what we claim is the motivation, which is to achieve status or to be competitive or whatever. But really all it is the expression of pain, of a pain that we think that we're separate from each other, when really ultimately we're the same. So like you and I were talking before we started the podcast about our parents, and how I learned this theory about how we try to protect our parents by not revealing the things that we see to be flaws about them. So I'm going to pretend that I come from money if my family is impoverished. So if that's true for one, then it might be true for all of us, that like I'm trying to assert my independence, assert my status of wealth and beauty and what have you, so that I can show that I'm not like that part of myself that exists on the other side of the world, that is crawling around in a garbage heap trying to pull together $5 to buy dinner. You know, it's like, because I don't want to look at that. I don't want to see how terrifying it is that I've allowed that to happen to another part of myself. So if I can separate myself, then it doesn't hurt so much. Like, I think it's a pretty deep expression of pain, to be honest. Now, having said all of that, one of the things that I keep thinking about when you're talking too is my dad always said, dressing up is like a gift you give to someone. So when you go to meet them, you know, and you put care into your appearance, it's a gift. And I always thought that that was a really beautiful thing, but it's so easily misconstrued. Like,
And manipulated.
Yeah. Like, who do I get dressed for? Who am I thinking about when I'm putting on my clothes? And like, it's a really dangerous road to walk. So like, I've been telling myself lately that my body is a tool for communication. As an artist, I use it in a lot of ways. You know, my voice, my body, face, whatever. But I like to adorn that tool in order to learn more about it, to express it in different ways, and to connect with like the source that's moving through me. So like, if
And to have fun with it.
Exactly. Like, that's part of the source moving through me. I think that we are the universe experiencing itself. So I want to experience the universe with a fluorescent green headband today, you know? So I'm trying to remind myself of that, but I do feel this danger in rewarding myself for looking good. So I'm going through kind of a similar thing with like, well, do I just, if I've spent the last 20 years trying to be fuckable, do I just like now try to not be fuckable because I'm angry?
I think I've been thinking about this a lot. I think we're going to extremes because we're just getting like tuned into it.
Thank you.
And so I'm feeling like it's okay because I don't have to leave, because I think about this too. Like, I'm an artist. I'm like, I want to, it's the funnest, best part of being an artist, that I have this body that I take with me everywhere, that I can like decorate every day. I can decorate with makeup. First you go to an extreme, but like figure where you are in your heart and like get yourself straight. And then once you are confident with what you really think about yourself and who you are, then you can go back to like decorating it, because it's not out of, I think it's out of, so when it's like that, it's light. You know, there's like a lightness to it. It's not this heavy, I have to cover up this thing. I have to like, so when I just get dressed up because I'm having a good time and I do some crazy updo, I'm not covering up something. I'm like adorning something. But when I'm like, oh my God, my hair got wet. This is the worst day of my life. I can't enjoy this. What am I going to do? That's where the problem is. It's so I think, because if you're fine with everything and you want to add to it, that's cool. But it's also, if you're fine with it, then that means if you don't have the hair dryer, you're also fine.
Yes, 100% agreed. Because I think the danger is in putting more weight on the positive and then the negative affects you just as much. And that's where we run into like what we were saying earlier about neutrality, about our height, or neutrality about our hair. It's like there's some sort of knowledge within me that knows, a knower that knows that I am worthy. I am, I am. And part of what the dysfunction is for me that I've been trying to eliminate is that when I walk into a room, I want to see out of my eyeballs. I want to see the room. I want to experience the room. I don't want my first thought to be, how is the room seeing me? That's my ultimate goal,
And I think that when we get okay and confident and secure about who we are, then we will be able to do that. And because it doesn't matter, and dressing up was more in the like, look at this fun color, because for me, I also dress with like color-wise, like with my mood. And so when I go to get dressed, it has to be like I'm feeling like today is such a beautiful day out. So it's like I want to wear pink. I want to feel light. And then other days I'm like, oh, I want to be wearing all black. Like I want to express this thing. But the reason I love that is because there's no, I'm never like, really upset because I don't have this color on. I'm like, that is something that I feel is positive because I'm never like, I can't believe I didn't dress like my mood. I'm kind of, once the clothes are on, it's on. Like, I'm not thinking about it. And when I walk into a room, I'm not like, can they tell my mood by what I wore?
Yeah.
I'm okay with the situation. It's just fun. And I think when I can get to that place with my makeup, my hair, like, did I like I just won't leave the house without doing something, like even the minimal.
There's a realization I've been coming to lately because when I first started going out with my gray roots showing, I felt so vulnerable and like people were seeing the truth about who I was or the thing that I was trying to hide. And I'm having now the same realization I kind of remember having when I was 12, which back then was, you can wear whatever you want as long as you decide that it's okay to wear it. You're the one who decides to wear the clothes instead of the clothes wearing you. It was kind of the same thing, whereas now, like, people will believe what you tell them to believe about you. And now it's like, actually, people will believe what I tell them to believe, but also it's not that they're noticing my roots, it's that they're just not noticing me.
But there's also a whole story that goes along with it. If you just had all gray hair, I wouldn't have the same reaction as seeing that. I can tell that there's a lot of intention with your color. So I can tell that you didn't just like accidentally do this color. And I would think first off, like, is everything okay?
Yeah.
What is her mental state? And how crazy is that? Like,
Fuck.
like, is she having a nervous breakdown? It looks like a few months. It's definitely no chance she couldn't have gotten to the salon. And like, if things are really bad with money, well, she looks like she could definitely afford to like a box dye to just like get it together, And
Girl, right?
And so there's all these like tapes we play
Yeah.
of judgment of like, you must be having a mental breakdown.
Holy shit.
You must not be stable.
I wonder, because I've been wondering why people haven't been saying anything to me. Like, no one says anything. They all pretend that they don't notice, which is kind of an LA thing. People pretend they don't notice anything here. So that's because they've seen
We're
everything.
taught that it's like rude,
It's rude, but it's also, there's a prevalent culture in the city, I think, that's different than any other one that I've ever lived in, which is the theory that everyone you see on the way up, you're going to see on the way down. So it's really important not to offend anyone because they could end up being your boss in a week, or they could
But it's weird because it's inauthentic, the idea of offense, because nobody's offended with like a mindful, caring thing. And that's the problem I have with it, is that if I see you and I care about you and I connect with you, it would be awesome if I saw you on the way down.
Well, it's amazing when you're valued on something, and this is what I'm going through with the aging right now, is I was valued because I looked younger or whatever, hot, and then all of a sudden I'm not. Now I'm like, you know, so because I allowed that first thing to affect me, now the other thing's affecting me really hard. And I do think that, you know, women who are, you know, valued for their body or their fucking whatever, it's a bigger crash than when you're allowed to just be at a young age and nothing is highlighted about you or, you know, put upon. We have to wrap up because it's getting hot in the closet. But I just want to say thank you so much for your honesty and sharing, you know, who you are with me a little bit here in the closet.
Thank you.
And I got your back, whatever you decide to do with your hair and your life and however this evolves. I'm really excited that we've met, and I feel like I have a comrade in arms.
Yes, for sure.
You know? Is there anything you want to say in closing?
I'm really glad that I had the opportunity to talk about this because it's something that I think about constantly, and it is great that it just manifested you and this, and I think it's something that the more people talk about, the more people will understand, and hopefully people will teach their children differently, and people will raise their little girls like, you know, we'll send them different messages, and we'll be more aware of the messages they're sending them and be able to help them be secure about the person they are.
Well said.
Tinseltown.